My name is Jason Rhodes. I've been the owner of a successful remodeling company for 3 years. I've dedicated 85% of the profit from that business to remodeling homes for disabled veterans and first responders completely for free. I have created a nonprofit 501c3 to assist in continuing this work. I am on a mission to bring awareness to the need and to raise money by walking 1,400 miles from Sanford, North Carolina to Austin, Texas. Please visit renovet.org to learn how you can help. That's renovet.org.
Right, friends and fam, thank you guys so much for tuning into Every Day is a Saturday with your host, me, myself, and I, Brian Roof. Hey guys, I have another great interview, a great guest. I'm excited to introduce this guy. He is a United States Marine veteran. He served from 2008 to 2016 as artillery. He has stumbled across acting. He has become pretty popular on TikTok. His name is Joe Marshall. Let's introduce Joe Marshall. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, can't complain. If I did, no one would give a shit, right?
Sounds like
Hey, appreciate you joining the show, man.
yeah, dude, absolutely.
So, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about Joe? You know, what made you join the Marines? Talk about your Marine Corps career, and then kind of let us know what you're doing now and what you did afterwards. All that good stuff.
Oh yeah. So I guess short and sweet. The I always knew I was going to join the military in some aspect. Ever since I was like, I don't know, fifth or sixth grade. Most of my family they all served, um, but I actually got essentially no balls to join the Marines. Um, I was already heavily talking to the Navy recruiters and whatnot, and one of my buddies had depped in, already with the Marines. His dad was one of the recruiters, and so it was only natural he was going Marines, and he. I'm walking up to the Navy recruiter, and he wraps his arm around my shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, go grow some balls." And 4 days later, I was down at MEPS, like, 17-year-old senior in high school. Uh, it was kind of weird though. So I'm shade deficient. So like, I mean, I've lived in my house uh, um, for 3 years and thought that my house was like a different color than what it was. Um,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, my wife picked out all the colors, and I was like, "Oh, that's a nice green." And she's like, "That's brown."
Oh, shit.
so,
That's crazy.
but so the Navy was like, well, you can do like one of three things. You could be a postman, you can be a food service specialist, or you can be a CB. And so I'll go be a CB because that's about the coolest out of those three.
Right.
And so when I went to the Marine recruiter, like it was like night and day. Like they had limitations, because of my vision, but like I already knew what my limitations would be. But because it was the Marine Corps, they had a lot more cool stuff to do. Given that shade deficiency, you you know, and basically my dad was like, "Oh, anything but infantry." And so "Oh, well, what about combat camera?" And he was like, "Well, if you do get deployed, like I want you to go over there, and like if you shoot somebody with something, it's actually going to hurt them, not a camera, not
Yeah.
immortalize
Yeah.
them." And
Right.
I was like, "Okay, combat cameras out." And I was like, "Well, Dad, they have a $10,000 signing bonus for recon." And he's like, "I already told you, like anything but infantry." And I was like, "But like it's different." and so I ended up going to the recruiter sent me home with the job book and whatnot. We started going through it, and I, picked out a couple of things. And when by the time we actually got to the recruiting station, uh, I said, hey, what's the closest thing to infantry? And he said artillery, and I was like, okay, sign me up. And so that's why I went artillery, and spent 8 wonderful years in. All things considered, probably would still be in if other if life hadn't come up. Um, but did enjoy the time that I had in, and
Let's talk a little bit about artillery and
okay.
stuff like that. I'd love to hear more about the artillery world. So, kind of tell me about your job and what you guys do and how critical you guys are to the mission. Because
Um,
not everybody knows what artillery is.
yeah. So artillery is indirect fire. We are so me, I was a fire direction controlman, 0844, and basically we were the brains of the artillery battery. So you have the brawn of the artillery battery, which is the cannon crewman. You have the eyes, which are the forward observers, and then you have the guys in the back in the tent, that are calculating the firing data. To be able to put rounds on range, rounds on target downrange, that the grids the FOs give us, so the brains.
Oh, I see.
Without
Like,
the
you guys be ducking.
yeah, without the FTC, the artillery battery would be null and void, outside of direct fire, because don't really the FTC's got some to do with it, but don't really have a major um, part in direct fire, because it's just that the section chief on the gun is direct firing the cannon. Um, but yeah, we literally sit back, and through multiple independent means of computation, we have graphic firing tables, tabular firing tables, that we use to calculate, the drift, the rifling of the tube. The round automatically comes out and goes right. So you have to drift, you have to account for that drift, and that moves the tube. And then, shell fuse combination, uh, powder, powder temps, and through stuff like that, you get a set of firing data, that if it bumps safe, within the parameters of the area that you are shooting, i.e., like you'll have a safety box, and it's like, okay, so we don't want to shoot, here, so we're gonna draw like a dog leg around that, and that'll be outside of our safety box, but everything else will be fair game. uh, and so we'll make sure that data that we've calculated bumps with our safety data that we had calculated upon in placing. And then if all that goes all that goes well and everything checks out good, then we end up shooting the mission. However, I hear it's different now. When I got out, they were testing the cannons being the second set of like the second independent mean, which kind of freaked us all out, because that's like one step away from Skynet, and the cannons becoming self-aware. But no, it was really cool. We had with handheld computer systems, we had actual laptops, ruggedized. It's called the AFATE. It's the Advanced Field Artillery Tactical Data System. That has maps and everything, and when you type in a grid, it plots it, and so you're able to do a bunch of things a whole lot faster, and speak digitally with the gun itself, with the section chief's display down on the gun line. So you press the command to fire, it pops up with the command to fire on his display, and he sees it and fires the gun, instead of having to call it down voice through manual gunnery, charts and darts and stuff like that. And charts and darts is the first job you pretty much get put on at in an artillery battery, you're using a set of tools, a range deflection protractor, and wax paper grid map, um, and you basically make this charts and darts board, to where you place your location, place target location with pins, and then you have the range deflection protractor to see the range, and then what deflection the gun needs to be at the angle to shoot that target. And that's like the basics. Everybody learns that, and then you go on to be the records fire operator. When you're doing manual cannon gunnery, you're calling down that data from the record of fire operator, is talking to all the cannon crewmen on the angers on the other. Well, I say angers on the radios on the other side, down at the gun itself, and they're copying down that data that we're giving them onto their record of fire, and then from there they give that data to the rest of the cannon crew, and they move the howitzer into position and shoot it. Shoot that target, whatever that whether it's an illumination mission or an immediate suppression or anything like that. So pretty fun. We have a saying, if you can't truck it, fuck it. We're towed artillery. In the Marine Corps, we don't have self-propelled 155 assets like the Army does. Those are kind of cool though. I think it'd be pretty sweet to ride around in one of those things. But riding in the back of a 7-ton and then jumping out and jumping down on that cannon, a time or two. That was some highlights, especially like when I did my farewell shot. That's actually one of my latest videos that I posted on my TikTok was my farewell shot. I was having one of those days where I was really missing, being in. We all have those. So I posted a bunch of military stuff and whatnot. But yeah, best 8 years of my life. Sent me all over the world. Met my lovely wife. Met my son. And met my son, had my son, she had my son.
Well, you technically you met your son.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, technically.
Yeah.
By the way, his 10th birthday was yesterday.
Well, happy belated.
So I think it was yesterday, the 11th. My days have been mixed up all week.
What's his name?
Quinn.
Happy birthday, Quinn.
Oh, I appreciate that. He's really
no
big into podcasts and YouTube, and makes videos and gaming and whatnot. Streams.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the way of the world anymore. A lot of people got podcasts or they like to stream.
Yeah.
I mean it's
and
that's a way to get out your
streamer.
different ways of what your talents are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So,
but yeah, back to so did you where all did you deploy?
So I went to Afghanistan, October of 2010 to May of 2011. It was my only tour over there. We, I think the unit got pucks when we got back, or NUCs maybe. No, I think it was pucks, like the presidential citation or whatever.
Yeah.
We never, most of us, never were put in the position to where we were in, quote unquote, hand to hand, as artillery. Pretty much the only provisional asset you have is your own fob security. But we did slay a bunch of bodies with our artillery assets, so it warranted, it warranted the award for the whole unit. So
dropping warheads on foreheads
since 1775.
Right.
But yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then on the way out there, we had a short layover in Bulgaria, and then a longer one in Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan's kind of that hub Manis Air Force Base where they send you to kind of debrief and whatnot, and acclimatized to that area of the world. And then from there to Afghan, and then on the way back, we had a short layover in Germany. Some of us got those chocolate covered bottle things.
Was it in Frankfurt? Were you guys in Frankfurt, Germany, or do you know what part of Germany you guys were at?
I don't.
Oh.
We never made it out of the airport.
Yeah. We
You know.
ended up getting stuck in a hotel over there. It was good times. I'll have to tell you offline.
Oh, yeah.
300 Marines
strictly off the
in a
record.
hotel, bro, on the way to the Middle East, 2003. Good times.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell you about it.
And then from there came back home. My wife and I PCS'd a couple years later to the Stumps. Spent 4 years out there. About 3 months after I got there, after I got to 29 Palms, checked into headquarters 311. Ironically, it was really funny. Now I don't know this Marine's career history. I know that he couldn't keep his Johnson in his pants, and had a crap load of kids, and I don't know if that played a part into it. But PFC Marshal, myself, checked into Camp Lejeune in March of 2009 to headquarters 110. First Battalion 10th Marines, obviously. But for those of you that don't know, to a staff sergeant. I'll leave his name out of it. And when in 2013, when I checked into headquarters 311 out at 29 Palms, Corporal Marshall checked into the exact same staff sergeant, still a staff sergeant. So both checking into both my units, I checked into the same staff sergeant.
That's great.
And 4 years apart. And it's like, I don't know if there was something, because I've known people that have retired as staff sergeants. Usually some of the best guys. I had a staff sergeant buddy that I know that he ended up getting out at 19 years, but he decked
a lot of guys get stuck at staff sergeant. I do feel like a lot of guys who try to advance.
Yeah. And
it's something that
normally
gets
the ones that won't
go that extra, yeah.
That won't fall into the fold 100%. They'll stay at 99%, and they'll keep themselves for just that sliver of themselves, and won't become 100% brainwashed. And I feel like those are the ones that are right there, but they always stay. For example, UCMJ tells you, "Hey, I'm a staff sergeant. I can't punch that lieutenant." But that lieutenant just talks shit about my wife. Well, as a man, I'm gonna punch him in the face. Yeah. But as a staff sergeant, I can't punch him in the face, and so there's that 1% right there, and so
that UCMJ dude's a bitch.
It is. That's why you can't do the do outside of missionary and for reproductive purposes only. But yeah, and so I got there, and 3 months after I got to 311, they came down and they were like, "Hey, you're going down to Lightning," which was the call sign for Lima Battery. They're going to Okinawa. So I got there, went on 10 days of house hunting, came back, and I had 3 weeks worth of final pregnancy appointments for my wife. And then we had Quinn, and then I went on baby leave. And then right after baby leave, I got pulled out to the field. We were in the 311s, like 270 days out of the year you're in the field. It's wild. I guess they figured they got that awesome, desert training area, 194,000 acres. Let's use every last square inch of it.
Oh yeah.
But they sent us to the field for everything. They would go to other people's pre-field meetings and whatnot, logistical stuff, and be like, and convince them, like our command staff would like convince them that they need artillery support during their infantry movements out in the and it's like, and then there we go, like off to the field again. um but yeah, and then like 3 months in, I think it was like July. I literally just bought him another motorcycle. Just had Quinn. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be here a while. I'm in a headquarters unit. Like, and then I get sent down to Lima and go over to Okinawa. Like, the day my son turned 6 months old.
Wow.
So I ended up missing the majority of his firsts. Fortunately enough, the smartphones had been invented by then, and we were able to. I was able to video chat with him through mine and my wife's phone and
Yeah, because the
whatnot.
Marine Corps didn't issue you that kid or that wife, right?
Yeah.
So
No.
that's
No.
the whole other theory is the Marine Corps didn't issue it.
Yeah. So they don't have to come with you. Yeah. So,
Right.
but it only it only works like that when it benefits them.
So let me ask you, dude, how has it been being married to another Marine?
Oh, no, she wasn't a Marine.
Oh no.
No. Just uh,
Oh, I thought she was enlisted or something as
no.
well.
She was a student at OSU OKC,
Okay.
and worked as a director of operations at a law firm here in the city. When I was going through the pipeline and ended up in Lawton at artillery school at Fort Sill. And one of my buddies had actually met her. He knows who he is. My first best friend in the service. And he's like, bro, I think I got the perfect girl for you and whatnot. And so he passes me your number, and then I played coy, like, oh hey, I stole your number out of this guy's phone, and because he's like, hey, make it seem like I didn't give you her number.
Right.
And so it did, and then we got to talking, and a couple months later she flew out to visit me, and that was before dating apps and stuff like that, where like it was still a big deal if somebody flew halfway across the country to go meet somebody they had never met. But her mom's like, oh, you want a plane ticket to go see this guy, this random Marine? There you go.
Nice.
And so she came out to visit me. We spent a wonderful weekend down in Myrtle Beach. And then 9 months later we got married, and yeah, been together ever since.
Sounds like a Marine story.
Right. I was watching, like, while over breakfast, I was literally watching Not in Regs. I don't know if you follow him, but there was a Marine, like, literally graduation days, like, they're dismissed, and like he turns around and proposes to his old lady and puts his dress blue trousers like right on the parade deck, like.
Oh man, he
Dirt.
didn't waste no time.
No, didn't waste any time, bro. And but typical military fashion. So
Can't say I haven't fell victim to it myself at one point in time.
oh yeah, of course.
But
Everybody
it's not
does.
about me today. So
Yeah,
that's the good part.
absolutely.
So let me ask you, man, like and you don't necessarily have to talk about it, but have you had PTSD and stuff like that and dealt with stuff just from being around the loud booms and bangs all the time, dude?
Yeah, I wouldn't say like yes, I have, but like nightmares are more like they're like implemented into my dreams. Like, for example, like I started working at a couple years ago. I started working for a restaurant, and it was like, it wasn't the guys in my unit. It was like my coworkers at the restaurant, and we were all like fighting, like an opposing army, but like more like hand to hand, like you would see in like the medieval times. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so, but it would be like it'd be weird. So like nightmares more or less that would be the extent. It's more of like survivor's guilt. Uh, is the majority of mine, and my therapist says I'm a excuse me.
Oh,
My
bless you.
therapist says I'm a severe emotional wreck. um,
Bless you.
thank you, appreciate it.
No problem.
And but I'm lucky that I'm still in one piece. I'm happy for the people that didn't come back in one piece, that are being able to survive and work through those issues. I got a buddy of mine that works at a gym down in Dallas, with Starbucks, actually had a feature on him a few years back. Um, uh, Linked up with through fate or whatever, linked up with a retired NFL player that had struggled with addiction, and he had struggled. He had been struggling with addiction and whatnot, and they kind of came out with this workout program, and started up a gym down in the Dallas area called Adaptive Training Foundation. Um, but he ended up coming back with no legs, and so he kind of helped um, the owner create this routine around more disabled vets, amputees, people that wouldn't kind of feel comfortable in a normal gym setting, or may have those reservations and whatnot. Um, and so I'm happy for them, and I'm sad for the ones that we did lose, but yeah, it's more of a survivor's guilt thing. As far as that, uh, I fall into my own mind a lot, and whatnot, and that's caused some other things on the outside that I won't really get into, but uh, I found it best to come back to the food service industry, where every day is different. You meet new people every day. You're always busy, so you don't even when you're not busy at the restaurant, there's always something to do. Like last night, I worked 5 hours. I had 6 tables, not busy at all. And so it's like it keeps you out of your mind. I had been in sales prior to that, and so I had 170 accounts to hit each month. Sometimes twice. Some accounts were twice a month. Some accounts were weekly. But I had 170 accounts ish, that I had to take care of, and I was in my car driving. I had half of Oklahoma City, that I had to take care of, and so I was literally in my son just got home. Hi, Quinn.
Very good.
But yeah, I was literally in my car thinking 90% of the day, and that was very bad for my mental health, and it led to some events transpiring, and I felt it best to move back to a position in which I am going 100 miles an hour,
Right.
24 hours a day. So, but yeah.
Well, I mean, dude, we all struggle with our,
Yeah.
our deals, man, and I appreciate you talking about it.
Yeah, no worries, man. And as
Yeah.
far as the cannon blasts and the loud noises and whatnot, it was very apparent early on that you can't really sleep through it. So you try to find a uh, like a generator or a running truck, or something or right outside the FDC, where there's constant noise, because it kind of drowns out the cannon blast from fire missioner. It's a very acute sound, so it wakes you up. But like, it's the same technique commercials use. You could be watching a movie and the volume the volume for the movie is set down here, but when they go to that commercial break, it always seems to wake you up at 3 in the morning when the
Yeah.
volume is way up here and you haven't touched the remote. And that's it. It's designed that way, and to get you to wake up and be like, oh, and then the first thing that they shove in your face is some product, that you can't live without in your life. And so artillery fire is the same kind of thing. It's like silence, 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 boom. But if you have that, constant noise, it kind of brings it to a monotonous level. Um, and so, dude, I would curl up next to the generator. I mean, that was my thing. Um, and and Yeah, so I mean, now that I'm out, like, I literally go to sleep watching TV every night. Like, we have to, like, me and my wife both, like, we have to keep um the uh the TV on, and the TV running throughout the night, to be
Yeah,
able to
I'm
sleep.
similar
So
actually.
yeah, so
That's
it's
crazy.
just, I mean, it's one of those things you deal with the cope.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and switch it up a little bit and talk
Yeah.
about what you've done since you've gotten out. And, let's kind of talk about how you kind of stumbled into acting and all that good stuff. Let's go get on to the next phase of your life.
Yeah, so I actually, the funny story is, I don't think I told you this part, the other day, but in shortly after my son was born, that field op that I was going to go on, after baby leave, it's called Black Alligator. Like, it was uh, whatever the name that it was like Rolling Thunder is to when we go out to brag. But it's called Black Alligator, and it was a month and a half long ish, and so I'm like, still dealing with things through, alcoholism and whatnot. I'm like, I'm about to, not be able to drink for a month and a half. I was like, I have a newborn, it's keep me up at night. And I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, have a little bit of fun with this, with drinking tonight. And I always picked a military movie the night before a field op because I felt it, got me in that mindset before, um, helped me be a better leader. That's for other people's judgment, not mine. Um, and I hope they say those things about me. I know I was the cool one, according to some. but but yeah, and so I was like, I'm gonna have, this particular time I chose Wind Talkers, and I was like, I'm gonna have some fun with this. Every time Nick Cage does something badass, I'm gonna take a shot. Well, the entire movie is him doing badass, unrealistic shit,
Oh,
and
dude, blackout
and
drunk.
yeah, so about halfway through the movie, I just get filled with rage because it dawns on me, like, we're a single income household, barely scraping by in Southern California on a corporal's paycheck, um, and this guy's making millions pretending to do what Marines do, uh, you know, every day since forever. And so I was like, I was like, if he can do it, so can I. And so I started, like, really heavily looking into it. Uh, fell victim to a few scams, but we'll get into that some other time. Uh, but that was in 2013. So by the time I got out in 2016, I was back home looking for work. Still couldn't find anything. While you're in, there's a lot of red tape with working with active duty, um, because they have, you have to pull them away from their actual duties and whatnot. So a lot of people, like, will just, like, oh, active duty, like, nope, not hiring, not hiring, not hiring. And so when I got out, I was like, hey, I had been at this, 3.5 years, and they pull people off the street to do this, to do background work, and it's like I can't even find a background gig. So I was, like, literally about to give up. Like, I had already deleted my online profile, like, for one of the sites that I used to use, and everything, and then I got a casting call from a friend that uh, was for the Long Road Home, which was about Black Sunday in OIF, and I was like, look, like I got long hair and a beard, but I'm willing to change my appearance to look, like I did back in uniform. Here are some pictures of me in uniform, and they uh, they ended up pulling me on, and I worked for 3 months, March, April, May. Yeah. So 3 months on that production, and it was man, that was a rough stretch, but I was committed to it because like, hey, I'm finally being able to do what I was able to do. But it was funny because at this time, like I had found an actual job elsewhere, and so I had to get off from, because obviously you need the bills paid, and so uh, the prior November I had ended up taking a job for Toyota, and I was in school, and so I was literally like skipping class, doing my work online, and like driving from Houston to Fort Hood because that's where it was filmed, and it'd be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or sometimes Monday, Tuesday, and I'd stay overnight there, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Tuesday, Friday, but like for the whole 3 months, and but fell in love with it. Found some other resources for people just starting out, and that led me to. Hang on one second.
Negative, man.
Um, quick side note. So what do we do if like phones are about to die? Like I could pull up another phone, but like
Could you hook it up into a charger or something, or no? Too far.
um let me change the background real quick. I can go grab. I have to kind of hold my. I have to use a wireless charger. My charger port's broken.
Yeah.
But I can put it on the back of mine. Just give me a couple of seconds. Okay, 1 second,
Yeah,
man.
bro. Yeah, no worries. All right, friends and fam. Hey, great time to talk about mental health. If you guys are, having a rough time mentally, there's places you can reach out to. Great number to call is 988, and all you got to do is press 1. It'll put you in touch with someone out there who can help you with, any situation you may be going through. I did see a case of an Army veteran who was really struggling. I mean, he was on his last, hopes and everything, and I guess he decided to reach out to the Life Crisis line, hotline, which is that 988 number. And man, they really helped him out with a lot of resources, and just all kinds of different stuff. I mean, it was quite the blessing for him, and I know that the community got behind it as well, and they're really trying to keep him up afloat. We good, brother?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, man. So back
But
at
yeah.
it.
So where were we? Oh yeah. So that led me to uh, being getting another background role. Um, and this one was out in New Orleans, and I was driving from Houston, New Orleans, and that's where I met D.W. Moffett, and he was. I hope I said his name right, but he. Uh, between takes, he could have gone off to sit in his fancy doodah chair and hung out with the other like speaking roles and whatnot. But he decided against it. He was like, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna talk to the background people and find out more about them and so he gave me the best piece of advice that I give everybody starting out is basically he asked me what I was doing there, and I said, well, I'm hoping to be in your shoes, so at some point in my life. Um, and he said, if there's one thing that I've learned in this industry, said I was in your shoes 40 years ago, and uh, he said as long as you have the drive and determination, there's room for you. And so I kept going with it. Kept applying to stuff. Then I got I got hired on as a background, featured extra, cult member, uh, in a show called Murder Made Me Famous on the Reels channel. And uh, yeah, I was kind of, it was just a couple of days. I was needed on like the first and second day, or first and third day. I can't remember. But it was in November of 2017. And I went up there. So this is 6 months after I started filming that first background role. Um, and I went up there to Dallas to go film that, Dallas area. And uh, I think it was like the second night. The sun's going down. We're filming a scene where the cult leader is dumping his wife. His you know wife, she had just passed away. He's dumping her ashes in the pond on their property or whatever. And we get done filming that, and the director like looks around and is like, like a teacher, like, oh, where are all my kids? Like, and she was like, where are all my speaking roles? And I was like, um, and me standing in the back, and me being, the smart ass, Marine, whatever, just smart ass in general. I was just like, I was just standing there like I
Hey, bro,
wish, like,
we joined the Marine Corps so we could talk shit.
right. That's so I was just like looking around, hands in my pocket. I was like, yeah, I wish, like, whatever, just like, murmuring to my buddies and whatnot, and that I had befriended while we were there filming. And she was like, she's like, oh, well, there's still time. And I was like, it's like, yeah, but this is not my time. You know what I mean? Like I was brought here to be background. Like, I'm not, and, so, a few hours later, they had just filmed like a campfire scene, and, some other stuff. And this guy comes walking up to me, and he goes, and I had recognized him from sitting next to me in one of the previous scenes. And huh? Sorry.
No, you're good, bud. I know you
Um,
the kids home now.
I'll come talk to you in a second. Um, and I'd recognized him from being in one of the other scenes, and uh, so I was like, oh, this is another background actor. And he was like, hey, would you mind, reading these lines with me? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Okay. Well, it dawned on me later on, like, that the other actor probably just didn't want to read that on TV. Wasn't comfortable with those lines, but so we started reading these lines, and he goes, he's like, hey, you comfortable reading this, and yada yada yada. I was like, yeah, like, I'm helping out another actor. Like, my entire time we're going through these lines, I'm thinking like I'm just a background guy that he's asked to help him with his lines. Cool. Um, Turns out it was the opposite of that. That was one of the associate producers that had inserted himself into that other scene, that for the production company that was putting on that show, that had literally just hired me to play that speaking role part on the spot. And so he's like, I was like, yeah, like, why not? Like, I'm just helping another actor or whatever. And he's like, all right, well, you see that guy over there? He said, go go see him. He's gonna mic you up. We're filming in 10 minutes. And I was like, like, what? Like, punch the stomach, hearts racing. I was like, I fucking ended up with a speaking role. And uh
Kind of adrenaline rush right there, huh?
yeah, because then you have to make sure to memorize it. You don't want to look like a fool. Like, this is basically like an on the spot audition, and you don't want to look like a fool. And like, so it's like I got 10 minutes to get mic'd up, but also be looking at the script at the same time. He's working around you, micing you up, to learn these lines, and try to understand, like, without knowing, because you're it's like being a brand new PFC. You know about this much of the scope of the Marine Corps versus a sergeant that knows everything. So like, this is the first time me seeing the script. I don't even know what's going on here. And it ended up being at such a critical turning point in the story that I'm happy I was able to deliver the lines as I did, because basically it was because of my lustful thoughts, that all the male members of the cult then had to go get castrated. Um, and so my very first spoken lines on TV was, I had a minor sexual slippage, and that was my TV debut, and just a solid zinger, and but yeah, that
Man,
ended
that's
up being
great.
on the Reels channel, and yeah,
Oh my
but
gosh.
it was just like, she said there was still time, and they gave me the opportunity, and I ran with it. And like, even my dad, like when he was watching it after it aired, he was just like, when I said that and I kept a straight face, and I delivered, I delivered the lines and everything, he was just like, huh? like, like he couldn't believe that those words just like came out of my mouth, like, and I kept a straight face about it. But thank you to the Marine Corps for helping me be not sensitive to dirty comments.
And and not only that, dude, but it's not too often that you're talking shit lands you a job
Right,
and not in
exactly.
trouble. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
hey,
exactly. So
can't say that talking shit doesn't always pay off. I mean,
right, and just be you. That's the biggest thing, be you.
yep.
um and so yeah, so uh I ended up, it aired six months later. Did a couple of other background things between there, a couple of indie film speaking roles, short videos for YouTube and whatnot. Um, but yeah, and then from there I went to I got my agent right after that aired. Um, Rebecca Beasley, well, formerly Rebecca Beasley, now Rebecca Clinton. By the way, congratulations on your baby. Um, and I'm still with her. It's been 5 years this month. 5 years this week,
Wow.
actually. No, next week. 5 years next week. That I've been with her, and she's been absolutely great. So, um, um, still working at it. Working on a couple of independent things, more on the script writing side, slash uh, screenplay stuff, and working with a couple of ideas and stuff on the independent side of the house. But hoping to get another network gig soon. That would be ideal. Um, and yeah, so it's been a fun ride, but I've been active in the industry for roughly 6 years.
Wow.
And March of 17, and then my latest independent film, Old Man Jackson, directed by Johnny Ray Gibbs, based out of Houston. Um, it premieres. I'll be posting more specifics about it, but it premieres this summer. So I'm pretty excited for that. Going to go down there.
That's
It was
awesome.
one of Tom Sizemore's last roles. Rest in peace. And I don't know if you heard, he passed away in February.
Mm.
He had a stroke, and then had an aneurysm, and
Oh
ended
shit,
up
man.
ended
That's
up
tough.
passing away. And but ever since Saving Private Ryan, like, I wanted to work with him, and even though I didn't get to work with him, I was still a part of the same production. Um,
It's a piece.
that Yeah, so it's I was, according to IMDb, I was in something with him. Um, and But yeah, so that premieres this summer, and I'll definitely be posting more on my social media as it comes closer. We're still working on some logistical details, date, location, stuff like that. So, but stay tuned, definitely.
So let me ask you, Joe. Where do you vision yourself going with all this, man? I mean, how far do you want to go with it? Do you want to be that guy in the Oscars one day, or you know, or is it just kind of go with the flow?
A little bit of both. I kind of joke about winning.
Oh, I think we might have lost him, or oh,
You
you
know, big
froze.
time awards
You
and,
froze real
you know,
quick.
star on the walk. I don't have any. Am I there?
Yeah, yeah, you're good. You just kind of froze real quick.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Just about.
um,
You were like,
but
I was joking, and then you kind of froze up. You're kind of
oh yeah.
joking about.
So I've always kind of joked about it. Uh, uh, about winning big time awards and whatnot, but more or less uh, not from a shit talking standpoint. So I can go back and I can let Nick Cage know that I'm standing there because I was pissed off at him. But um, but yeah. So uh, in all actuality, like I comfortable living, doing what I love doing. That's all I, you know, being able to tell people stories and do that, but make a comfortable living doing it. That'd be the ideal situation. Once I get to that point, I think I'll see where it takes me, but I'm going to say that's the next step for me. Like that's my short term. And then, if it goes farther than that, it goes, but every step I take is a step closer that, everything I do in the industry is a step closer than where I was the day before. So,
That's awesome, bro. And I'm glad to see that you're found
yeah.
something and you're going along with your passion, bro.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
so hold on, I was gonna. You guys could definitely check out his IMDb. He's got a pretty long resume in there. I went and checked it out. He's been in quite a bit of things or worked on quite a bit of stuff, but you definitely have been busy with it. That's good, man.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And the next way is probably Instagram or TikTok. Both of them are my IMDb is linked on both of them. Or I've posted I posted my actual page on Facebook, on Instagram. My It's called a creator card, it has like your picture, what you're known for, what you do, stuff like that. Um, and that's brought to you by IMDb. So
Nice. So let's talk a little bit about TikTok since that's kind of where I found you. And
yes, sir.
I think we found each other on there. I mean, once upon a time ago, I was like, keep it patriotic on there. And then I took a break from it for a
Mm-hmm.
while, started this whole
Mm-hmm.
podcast. And then when I came back, I noticed, damn, dude, you had quite a boom in the followers and stuff like that. So,
I got lucky a
what
couple
kind
of
of got you
times, and
going on TikTok?
um, honestly, the okay sign below the belt joke. There was a video um that went viral. Is like this girl is like, if you ever ask a guy to hold up three fingers, he'll never do this. He'll either do, and he'll either do one of the other two. And I was like, oh, I think I got this. And it was like just like zoomed in on my face, and then like as I backed up, I was holding the okay sign below the belt, and it got literally everybody, and it has like almost 700,000 views, and
Dang, man.
yeah, and so from there it went from like having like 4,000 followers to 20,000 followers, just
Just
almost
one of those
overnight.
quick viral,
Yeah,
videos went
one
out.
got lucky, and it just like I said, I had to turn off my notifications for pretty permanently for all of my social media because it ended up blowing up, But I still post. I took a little bit of a break. I had some, this past, I would say 6 to 9 months had been a little bit on the rougher side of things. So I took a little bit of a break from posting, but I posted here the past few days that um, I I enjoy, like I said, those military videos. I posted my farewell shot, and uh, just some other things, but yeah, uh, that's just I don't know. I got bored. I was work like I said. I used to work in sales. That's and used to work for a distributor. And every Thanksgiving, um, Goose Island Beer Company releases a special barrel aged stout called Bourbon County. Um, and it's once a year, gets released on Black Friday, and it was our job as trade activation managers to pretty much deliver it out. And because this was in 2020, they weren't really having a bunch of people in stores, but like we were already working and whatnot. So I literally loaded up my wife's Kia with 70 cases of this. There's only 225 cases for small format, which was all your independent liquor stores and stuff like that. There's only 225 cases of 12 for the entire city of Oklahoma and all the suburbs and whatnot. So uh, um, very very sought after thing. It runs like I'd say 14 to $15 a bottle, depending on where you buy it. For a pint. It's about 15% ABV Buffalo uh, barrels. So, but yeah, pretty solid, um, pretty solid brew. And I was bored sitting in the parking lot of the not to get too far off the track, but I was sitting literally bored in the parking lot waiting to load up with these cases of beer, and decided to download it to watch some videos. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And my sister had already been on it, but like my dad and me were not on it at the time. And so I posted one video, and then I posted a video. I've dabbled in some home brewing in the past, and but yeah, and just went from there. And it was just kind of a day by day thing. And then that first video went viral, and made it to where I can go live, and made it to where I could actually use the creators fund and the the creators tools and stuff like that, and actually start generating profit. I think I've made like $4.50 since so like in
That's
the past year and a
impressive
half.
for TikTok,
But
bro. I think I had made 30 cents.
right,
So yeah, you got me
yeah.
like by
So,
$4.20, bro.
but yeah, definitely not paycheck worthy. But hey, who knows? Like I said, take as with most things, I just take it day by day, and that first video led to other videos, and then led to that one that put me at around right around 20,000, and really started getting me put on radars. I think I'm pretty close to being able to have an account on Cameo now, where like it's like um, it's like OnlyFans. Instead of selling feet pics, you're selling cameos to people, where you're
Got it.
wishing them happy birthdays as
Yeah,
roll if they want to book you or whatever. um, but
I've
but
heard of
yeah,
them.
yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
so I think there's a couple of requirements that I still need to hit, but up until last year, like they were like, no thanks, your social media presence is not there yet. And I said,
Right.
okay, I will do better, and I've done better.
Nice.
So
Yeah, man,
but
definitely getting it out there now, and here you are on a podcast.
yeah,
So get a little bit
absolutely.
of more visibility.
So
My show hasn't exactly left the ground itself, but there's quite a few faithful watchers on here that definitely watch it often, and growing quite a cool little community. It's pretty cool. But hey, Joe, I do appreciate you, brother, coming on, man. Definitely,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
appreciate all of you guys, sharing your stories. It's not always easy, man. But if you could just stick around in the back room, is there anything else you want to say before you go, man?
Yeah, dude, it's a pleasure.
Absolutely, I appreciate you so much, brother. Until next time, dude. We'll see you,
All right,
brother.
man. Till next time.
All right, yeah, just hold off.
Later.
All right. All right, friends and fam. I thank you guys once again for watching Every Day's a Saturday with your host, me, myself, and I, Brian Roof. That was another great interview. So we'll see you guys until next time.